Hey, 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 welcome in. We're going to give everyone just a few minutes coming in here for the Oscars. No one's hosting the Oscars this year, which is a little bit weird. Oh, for everyone that's coming in right now, put yourself down in the chat. What do you think? Who's going to win? Who do you think is going to win Best Movie? We are currently dressed as Carey Mulligan in the worst of the movies that's up for Best Picture, Promising Young Woman. So the Oscars are about 16 hours away. So go ahead, get your Oscar ballot up. I think I feel like we've got kind of a back and forth right now between Sound of Metal and Promising Young Woman. It feels like those are going to be the ones that are fighting it out. Okay, I guess, if we've got and if for everyone that's getting in, we're going to go ahead and get started around all Eastern time. We'll get started like 12:35 Eastern time. We'll give some more people a few minutes to get in here. In the actual technical awards, I feel like Mank is probably going to take most things in this. It's just the movie looks perfect. Everything about that side of it is really, really strong. So I think that's probably what we're going to be looking at there. In terms of the best picture for I think that it's going to be more of a type of Nomadland and Nomadland. Actually, Nomadland, I think, was the one that was probably going to be most possible. But now I think it's moved more towards Sound of Metal and Promising Young Woman, which is who we're dressed as right now. Which Promising Young Woman, if you haven't seen it, is a terrible movie. But there's a wig that you can buy online. So that's what we're doing here. Okay. Looks like we've got a few people in here, so let's go through the Oscar ballot. If you have an Oscar ballot right now, go ahead, get it out, and we're going to start from the very bottom of the list. So this isn't necessarily the way that they're going to announce it, but the ballot that I am going off of, it starts at the live action short film, the short films. And the short films are always a little bit, if you ever have the time to watch them, actually go to Amazon. I think Amazon has them available to rent, and it's like 2 hours. You get to see all the animated ones, you get to see all the documentary ones, but it's tough to tell what's going to win from that. For me, I only really tell if a movie's going to win in the short film category from the clip that they show. So live action short film, I'm going to go with White Eye for that one. We'll just kind of jump right through these real quick. Animated short film, then let's go with Yes People for that one. Visual effects, then. Okay, our options are Love and Monsters, The One and Only Yvonne, Mulan, The Midnight Sky, and Tenet. Now, here, I feel like it's either Mulan or Tenet. Tenet is always, the Christopher Nolan movies, they're always kind of the bigger budget type thing. So I feel like it's pretty confident that because those are also normally done in camera effect, that it's going to be Tenet that takes that one. Then next category, we've got sound, and our options are Soul, Mank, Greyhound, News of the World, and Sound of Metal. Point on Greyhound, which I actually worked on that movie as a PA, so I stood in the corner of a room for a few hours. And if you watch that movie when it came out, there was a massive sound mistake right in the middle of it. Like Tom Hanks's his words didn't sync up with everything that was going on. So the fact that this is nominated for Best Sound, it's pretty hilarious. Sound of Metal, it's about someone who loses their hearing. You kind of get put into their perspective. So the movie is structured to kind of be based on the sound to give you an idea of what he's going through. So Sound of Metal, I think integrating that is going to win the Oscar for that. Then film editing. Again, we have Sound of Metal, Trial of the Chicago 7, Nomadland, Promising Young Woman, and The Father. Now, I have not seen Trial of the Chicago 7. I actually don't think I'm going to. It looks really, really boring. So I'm not going to watch that one. But I know, whatever. So I think the options here are between Promising Young Woman and The Father. I think Promising Young Woman, because there's a good bit of cutting in that one. Also, I feel like people just kind of want to give that movie a bunch of awards. So, but on that one, I'm actually going to go with The Father. If you don't know what it's about an elderly man suffering from dementia, and it's put, again, kind of like Sound of Metal, in his perspective of how he sees things. So the editing is very critical to the story, because it's, again, putting you straight in his perspective, and the fact that it's taking you through what it means to have dementia makes that pretty complicated. So I feel like they're probably going to give it to that one. Then cinematography. Okay, we've got Judas and the Black Messiah, The Trial of the Chicago 7, News of the World, Nomadland, and Mank. So I feel like the real competitors here are going to be Nomadland, Judas and the Black Messiah, and Mank. I feel like Judas and the Black Messiah in the beginning does a lot of stuff for cinematography. It does a good job of establishing a really gritty landscape. So I feel like that's the main reason that it's nominated here. I think next Nomadland is possible because they had almost no budget for that movie. Single camera operator, and they evoke the whole, wide-ranging vistas, living in a van type thing very, very well. But I think Mank is going to ultimately take it because David Fincher, he goes for the glossy, the sheen, the commercial, and while that movie is so fucking boring, it is really beautiful. It's very beautiful. The black and white is awesome. A lot of day for night stuff that looks really, really incredible. So I think that in terms of a movie that looks really good, Mank does a good job for that. But if you wanted to go in terms of like story that fits with great visuals, then I think honestly Sound of Metal should be nominated for this one. But if you're going for that, then Nomadland would win. Then production design. We've got The Father, Tenet, Ma Rainey's Black Bottom, News of the World, and Mank. Has anyone seen News of the World? Anyone watching? Put in the chat if you've seen News of the World. I haven't had a chance to see that one yet. But I think I don't think Tenet has a big chance of winning this, which is strange. There's not really any buzz around this movie. I feel like it should have a better chance because a huge amount of all of that, the machine in the middle of it was absolutely incredible. A lot of those sets were really, really ominous and did a great job, I thought, with the story. But I think it's really going to be against Mank and The Father. The Mank really because, Brian, I'm kind of with you. I'm so behind on so many of these movies. This is a terrible year for the Oscars, to be honest. There was an Oscar ballot. There's an anonymous Oscar ballot where they asked people what they voted for. They said this year needs to have an asterisk next to it. And then just a disclaimer that because of the pandemic, all the studios pushed their good movies to next year. And this year just looks like we're watching the bottom of the barrel of like Sundance movies. So production design, I think the fight here is between Mank and The Father. Mank, again, for the same reason it was up for cinematography. It's shot beautifully. The production design works really, really well. And in terms of the old Hollywood studios, the old saloons, the desert locale, just the old Hollywood feel, the production design lives through Mank very, very well. And it could get it. If it gets it, it's going to be because people in Hollywood are just obsessed with Hollywood. But The Father really should get it. Again, it integrates production design is normally just something, that looks beautiful, that looks good, that fits with the story. But because The Father is following, again, an old man going through dimension, we're seeing things through his perspective. Small things throughout the apartment start to change. Like you get tile on the wall instead of a wood finishing. The couches start to change throughout the movie. The color of the paint on the wall starts to change. The floorboards start to change. You start to notice these small things, and it's just another element. They use production design in its favor to tell a story. So I feel like Mank is going to win, but I think that's really unfair because The Father actually uses production design in its favor. Then makeup and hairstyling. We've got Ma Rainey's Black Bottom, Emma, which if you haven't seen Emma, there's almost no movies this year that have tried to be fun. Like movies aren't really fun anymore. But if you want a movie that's fun, check out Emma. It's really, really good for that. But again, for makeup and hairstyling, we've got Ma Rainey's Black Bottom, Emma, Mank, Hillbilly Elegy, and Pinocchio. I didn't even know there was a new Pinocchio. So that's, bad on me for not catching up with that. But here, again, I think it's going to be between Hillbilly Elegy and Mank. Hillbilly Elegy was kind of shit on by everyone in the industry because politics sucks. And then, but no, Mank. I think Mank. I think all of these technical awards are going to go to Mank because people are in love with Hollywood, especially the people that vote for the Oscars. Okay, then documentary short. This is the same as what we talked about at the beginning. I'm just going to go with A Love Song for Latasha, but let's just move on. Okay. Documentary. The options that we have for documentary are Time, Collective, My Octopus Teacher, Crip Camp, and The Mole Agent. Now, normally, the documentary feature category doesn't have a whole lot of gems, but here, there are two incredible documentaries that are really worth you checking out. Time and My Octopus Teacher. My Octopus Teacher is going to win. It is also on Netflix. It is 80 minutes long, so if you have time today, you really should check it out. It's a genuine, I hate the term heartwarming. I hate things going into it that have critics all over it saying it's heartwarming, but My Octopus Teacher really, really fits that category. It's a quick, enjoyable watch, and you should check it out. It's going to win tomorrow. Brian, Hillbilly Elegy was awesome. I enjoyed Hillbilly Elegy. I did enjoy Hillbilly Elegy. I don't think that it's very fair that people aren't giving it a fair shake. Then the original score, we've got The Five Blood, News of the World, Mank, Minari, and Soul. It's good on Trent Ross and wait, no, it's Trent Reznor and Atticus Ross. Oh, geez. But they're up for two. They're up for Mank and they're up for Soul. Soul's going to be the one that wins. Everyone has been raving about that soundtrack. But honestly, the runner-up in this category is Mank. So they're going to win for Soul, though. So congratulations to them. They really are an awesome team. They always do a great job with their vinyls for soundtracks that come out. So just another cool thing to think. Original song, a good thing to think. That didn't mean anything. Original song. Just no one. This category sucks. No one listens to these songs. And they always perform all of the songs. It's a whole other reason that it's a waste of time. But Speak Now from Judas and the Black Messiah is the one that's going to win. But that's a category that nobody pays attention to. Excuse me. Oh yeah. All right. Then costume design. Ma Rainey's Black Bottom, Emma, Mulan, Pinocchio, and Mank. Let's just go. Mank's going to win again for that one. Okay, now the actual creative nominations. We've got original screenplay for Promising Young Woman, The Trial of the Chicago 7, Minari, Sound of Metal, and Judas and the Black Messiah. Now, since these are like the last big awards, we'll take it a little bit slower here. So I think at the bottom of this list is going to be Trial of Chicago 7 and Judas and the Black Messiah. Again, I have not seen Trial of the Chicago 7, but if you follow all these awards, you kind of tell that, those winners trickle down in the end. And Trial of the Chicago 7 is not receiving very much at all. The fact that Aaron Sorkin is usually, I don't know what to call him. He's just, everyone loves him. Everyone falls in love with him. Whenever they hand out awards, they always give him gold. So Trial of the Chicago 7, I don't think is going to win very much this year. Judas and the Black Messiah. The problem with that movie is that it starts by it chooses its main character, William O'Neill, the Lakeith Stanfield character. And then in the middle of it, it totally drops him for going for, the side character, the Daniel Kaluuya character, the Fred Hampton character. And it's distracting. I get it. Again, it's another reason why these movies are just going by totally on politics. But Judas and the Black Messiah is ruined because it decides to go for politics than anything else. And it ruins the screenplay. So the ones that are really, I think, going to be duking it out here are Minari, Sound of Metal, and Promising Young Woman. Now, Minari and Sound of Metal, I think, really, really deserve this. In a year where everything is filled with politics, it's great to have these two movies that don't really talk about it at all. Even though Minari is kind of wrongly being sold as a political movie, it's not at all. Really heartwarming stories. Sound of Metal gets to be... there are scenes that feel like it's depressing, but that's not really a good way to characterize it. It's very human. It's very human. It humanizes that character. He makes decisions that on his face you might be like, how could you do that? But the movie does a good job of putting his life forward and making you understand that even though he makes some really tough decisions, they feel like honest decisions. That being said, Minari and Sound of Metal, I don't think are going to win either. I think it's going to be Promising Young Woman. That movie sucks. That movie really sucks. Again, this is full. And you know what? Full, totally on its side in terms of what the message is, but that movie does not care about being entertaining at all. It has a terrible character as the main character, and by that I mean boring. And there's no goal for the character at all. It's totally confused in what it's trying to do. It doesn't even do very much at all. It sets up weird expectations and then delivers in very, very boring ways. But the movie is getting critical acclaim all over the place. I think this movie's got like over a 95 on Rotten Tomatoes. I would say if you're going to put money on it, Promising Young Woman is going to win the original screenplay. Okay, then moving on to the foreign language film. Better Days, Collective, The Man Who Sold His Skin, Quo Vadis Aida. Sorry about that. And then another round. Okay, the most interesting thing about the foreign language film, very rarely does a movie in this category jump out and then make it into the other large categories. Obviously, Parasite did it last year and took, the first time it ever did that. It was in this category and jumped over to the Best Picture category. But Another Round is another one of these movies that has done that slightly, but it deserves to be in the Best Picture category. It almost deserves to win the Best Picture category. And this is not saying, oh, look at this is a movie review channel. We're talking about foreign films because, that's niche. Another Round is genuinely a movie that even people that don't like subtitles, I really think 5 minutes in, you are going to have that notion thrown out the window. It's a lot of fun. It's a whole lot of fun. It actually gets to talking about very serious issues, but it does so in a way that does not moralize with the character. I've actually got a review of it on the channel, so obviously be sure to subscribe and check that out. But Another Round is going to win that. And there's actually more proof that it's going to win that in a few minutes. Then animated feature film. Okay, a Shaun the Sheep movie, Farmageddon. I never see any of the promos for these Shaun the Sheep movies. Shaun the Sheep's incredible. I've been watching Shaun the Sheep forever, but I'm glad to see it's on there, and I need to check that out. But then you've also got Onward, Over the Moon, Wolf Walkers, and Soul. Again, I think this is a competition in the Pixar movies, and it's not even that close of a competition between Onward and Soul. Soul's been getting critical acclaim for months now. It's got like a 98 on Rotten Tomatoes. People can't stop raving about it. I think this is going to be the one that takes it. I don't even think it's going to be much of a contest there. Then supporting actress. This one fucking pisses me off. This one's so... Okay, all right. Glenn Close in Hillbilly Elegy. Again, not even being considered because of the subject matter, which is stupid. Then Amanda Seyfried in Mank. I apologize for butchering this. Yoo Jung-yoon in Minari. Olivia Colman in The Father. And then Maria Bakalova in Borat's subsequent movie film. Okay. So, like I said, I think that Glenn Close and Amanda Seyfried don't really have a chance in hell to do very well here. Yoo Jung for Minari, I don't think really has much of a chance either, although gives a great performance. I would say that we're looking between Olivia Colman and The Father, who does an incredible job being the caregiver to her father, Anthony Hopkins. Really, really tough because he's got dementia throughout this movie. The types of things that he says in certain situations are incredibly cruel. And to see Olivia Colman ride that line between knowing that she is not really dealing with her father anymore, so she has to work through these things, but also needing to show that the stuff that he says to her, the stuff that he does to her by bringing up things about, you know, whether or not he likes her, whether or not he has other members of the family that he liked way more than her. She does a beautiful job. She does a really, really beautiful job. And Anthony Hopkins is kind of the highlight of that movie. But Olivia Colman, I think, actually isn't getting enough attention for how good she does. Then, but no, Maria Bakalova. And again, this is another political thing. Maria Bakalova is going to win for Borat's subsequent movie film. She's going to win because of the Rudy Giuliani scene. If that scene did not exist, and it's not even a very good scene, it's not funny, it's not revealing in terms of anything, regardless of everything that was talked about with it. Maria Bakalova is going to win. It sucks, but that's what's going to happen. Okay. Then supporting actor. There's a weird thing here. Well, I'll go through them and then I'll break it down. Lakeith Stanfield in Judas and the Black Messiah. Daniel Kaluuya for Judas and the Black Messiah. Sacha Baron Cohen for Trial of Chicago 7. Leslie Odom Jr. for One Night in Miami. I think I'm saying this correctly, Paul Raci for Sound of Metal. But anyway, so no to Sacha Baron Cohen, no to Leslie Odom, no to Paul Raci. Judas and the Black Messiah is going to win one of these. This shows part of the problem with Judas and the Black Messiah. Judas and the Black Messiah, like I said earlier, if you were watching the stream, it follows William O'Neill as the main character. That's the Lakeith Stanfield character. And then it completely drops him. It drops him for following the Daniel Kaluuya character. That's a much more seductive character. That's a much more exciting character. He's very idealistic. He's a revolutionary. You cannot kill a revolution. But he's not the main character, but it wants him to be the headline of the movie. So they sideline Lakeith Stanfield. And Lakeith Stanfield, that's why he's ending up on the supporting actor category. He deserves to be on the best actor category. And I don't know why they didn't do that, because there's no way he's going to beat Daniel Kaluuya here. Daniel Kaluuya is going to take the supporting actor Oscar. Okay, then almost to the end here. Adapted screenplay. We've got The White Tiger, One Night in Miami, Borat's subsequent movie film, The Father, Nomadland. So Borat's subsequent movie film, it's weird that it's on here, I guess just because it's adapting it from the Ali G show whenever Borat was a character on there. The two that are really fighting for it here are Nomadland and The Father. So The Father, based on a play, I think should win. Nomadland, it's a little bit too noodling, that movie. There's not really any point for it to be doing. It's just, it's not, it's fine. It's fine. And I think Nomadland is going to win. And it's got a good ending. It's worth it being at the Oscars, especially this year. It's slightly disappointing because I don't think it really has... there's nothing in the writing that really mobilizes you to engage with this movie in a way that will make it memorable for like months to come. I think Nomadland is going to be forgotten pretty quickly. I do not think The Father would be. I think that should win, but it's not going to. Then Best Actress. We've got Vanessa Kirby for Pieces of a Woman, Viola Davis for Ma Rainey's Black Bottom, Frances McDormand for Nomadland, Andra Day for The United States versus Billie Holiday, and Carey Mulligan for Promising Young Woman. So Andra Day, I do not think has a chance. Vanessa Kirby, weird that she's on here. If you saw Pieces of a Woman, which is on Netflix, put something in the chat. Also, very confusing. Pieces of a Woman and Promising Young Woman out this year. Pieces of a Woman is just like it's total like emotion. I guess what would you say it? Emotion torture porn or something like that. It's just so much sadness for no point. It just keeps getting sadder and sadder and sadder all the time. Watch it if you want to. That's got a great 30-minute shot in the beginning of it. But that's really the only reason to watch it. That could have been a great short film, but the whole movie, she does a good job, but I don't think that, I think that's just filler for the category. But this is between Frances McDormand in Nomadland and Carey Mulligan for Promising Young Woman. So Frances McDormand, I thought was going to win, but the attention is going towards Carey Mulligan right now. So I'm going to put my money down on her winning, which is really unfair. I think the role being written so poorly feeds into why Carey Mulligan just can't give a performance that's worthy of an Oscar. If you haven't seen the movie, which is a boring movie. Essentially, she's being pulled in two different directions because she wants to go out and kind of give these asshole guys their comeuppance, which is really just a talking to. But at the same time, her own life is, she lives with her parents. She's 30 years old. At one point, she forgets that today is her birthday. And her character is totally unbelievable. But it wants to live in the real world while also living off of this like American Psycho, Clockwork Orange type of vibe, Taxi Driver type of vibe. But it also wants to wear kid gloves while doing it. And Carey Mulligan, I don't know if there was probably a better actress that could have ridden that line of real, but also sensationally violent, but not really violent. Carey Mulligan doesn't. She comes across as a little bit too snooty. There's no real nuance in her character, and I feel like the movie wanted more nuance for that. Carey Mulligan did not give it though. And then for actor, we've got Gary Oldman in Mank, Stephen Yeun in Minari, Riz Ahmed for Sound of Metal, Anthony Hopkins in The Father, and Chadwick Boseman in Ma Rainey's Black Bottom. Now, Riz Ahmed, I think, is a shoo-in for this movie. Everyone else was perfectly fine, but this is just one where Riz Ahmed, I think, really ran ahead of everyone else. And then we've got Best Director. This is another round, Minari, Mank, Promising Young Woman, and Nomadland. Again, I think this is the proof that another round is going to win for Best Foreign Film. The fact that the director jumped out of that category and is nominated for Best Director, I think that pretty much clinches it for taking animated. But it's not going to animated international, but not going to win another round for directing. I think it's going to be between Nomadland and Promising Young Woman. It used to feel like I think Chloe Zhao would win. I'm going to put her down for winning, but I would not be surprised if Promising Young Woman takes it. That movie's terribly directed, but again, that's just a purely political decision. Then the final one, Best Picture. We've got The Father, Judas and the Black Messiah, Mank, Minari, Nomadland, Promising Young Woman, Sound of Metal, Trial of the Chicago 7. So I think the most competitive movies in this category are going to be Promising Young Woman, Sound of Metal, Nomadland, and Minari. And if I really had to bring it down to two of them, then I would go Promising Young Woman and Sound of Metal. Now, that's going to tip two ways because, again, while I've not seen Trial of Chicago 7, it does not seem like it would be quite as boring as Promising Young Woman. So I'm going to say Sound of Metal takes it, which I think this is the part where it's going to be interesting because the Oscars tomorrow, when it comes to the Best Picture, are either going to tip to Promising Young Woman or Sound of Metal. And that makes it to be dramatic because Sound of Metal is the best movie we got of last year. Promising Young Woman is such a disappointment. It's such a forgettable movie. There is no point to it. Okay, there is a point in terms of a message it wants you to take away with it. But in terms of first a movie needing to be entertaining and then engaging with the message, it doesn't care about being entertaining at all. It just wants the message, which makes it forgettable. So we'll see what happens. As everything else goes on throughout the night, we are going to see the way that it's going to be tipping, and that will be interesting. I would honestly love if Nomadland or Minari came out and was the dark horse and ended up winning more of these awards. But again, we will see. So that is everything. I don't even remember what time. I think 9:30 Eastern time is when it starts tomorrow. Won't be doing a live stream for that, but we'll definitely be live tweeting it. So make sure that you follow 5 Minute Critic, the number 5 MIN Critic on Twitter, Instagram, and I will see you tomorrow for the Oscars. Now, how do you end this thing?